Zachary. I hope that you'll subscribe to our Mystery Sonata channel. Today I'm talking about changing a violin string. And the same principles apply to changing a viola string or a cello string. But I've got a violin here. So let's talk about that. The thickest string, or the lowest pitch, is G. And each higher pitched string is thinner in gauge, typically. Also, the lowest strings are a little more flexible, whereas the highest string has the most tension. This is important to know when you're tuning up your new string so that you don't go too far and break the string. It's good to take a look at your bridge, make sure that it's more or less vertical and not about to fall over, and we'll talk about that in another video, as well as fine tuner types, for example. So we'll remove the string by tuning down. And we'll carefully remove it from the tailpiece as such. Sometimes the ball is quite large and you have to pull the string through the other way, like so. Then you grab your new string. I'm going to put the same one back on because I rather like it. And what you're going to want to do is to get it through the hole in the peg. Now, that's rather small. And of course you have to leave the peg in the peg box while you're doing this. Sometimes I use tweezers just to help manipulate the string a little better. Sometimes I put on my reading glasses. So, if you like, you can start with this end at the tailpiece. Just get it in there. Now, depending on what kind of string you use, whether it's a synthetic core or a steel core or a gut string, some strings are stronger than others. And you'll notice that there are sharp edges on the instrument. For example, the bridge has a sharp edge, and up here the nut, where the string goes over at the top, has some sharp edges, or can. So typically what I do is I take a soft lead pencil and I just draw a little bit. You'll notice the marks on my bridge right in the groove, just to lubricate that. It's like just the graphite. I take a number 1 pencil and just draw a little bit there and a little bit there, so that when I first put the string on, there's a smoothness over the edge. And you know, with these strings, for example, they're wound in metal with a synthetic core, and that winding can separate and the string can wear out or break easier if you don't lubricate the sharp edges. On some tailpieces I'll even do it right here because the string passes over there. But you'll notice there's a winding on the string where it passes over this sharp edge. So typically that's not a problem. The bridge and the nut are the focal points. So the first thing to do is to just get the string into that tuning peg. And what I do is I give a little extra room. That is, I push the string through upwards of a centimeter so that I have some wiggle room. And you'll see why soon. Then I wind the string once to the right of where it passed through the peg. Then I cross over and I do the rest of the winding to the left of the peg. That's just to make sure that there isn't any slippage. The last few turns, I make sure that the the string is touching the wall of the peg box. That extra resistance keeps the peg from slipping. Now, tuning it up, perhaps you're a parent of a violin student and maybe you don't play a musical instrument. The first thing, I mentioned the tension, that the highest string has the most resistance and each subsequent lower string has a little more flexibility. But also, if you know the song Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, you can tune a violin. I'll take the top two strings as an example, and I start with the thicker one, or the lower one. You know the tune, it goes. So if you just imagine, you can do this with one hand, and those are in tune. Let's move to the next two. So our lower string has become our upper string. So now we're plucking the two middle strings. So we're imagining so we've got to get the lowest string, that's the one that we just changed. We have to get that in tune. Right now it's not in tune. So I'm going to start by tuning it up. I like to have a little counter pressure. And I just check it along the way. It's very loose and it sounds like a viola. Sometimes I bring that counter pressure back because I don't want the peg to work its way out while I'm tuning. I'll even do it in this position. Then I can pluck with the thumb and push with the first couple of fingers. I'm not pushing hard at all. And with a new string or even a used string, there's a little break-in period. So the string is already stretched a little bit, not quite in tune. And I'll play for 5 minutes, tune it again, play for 5 minutes, tune it again. With the new synthetic string, companies like Eva Perazzi by Perastro, or Obbligato, or Dominant by Tomastic, these have a synthetic core, Perlon or nylon, and with the lower strings it may take an hour or two before the string stays in tune. You might have to tune it 5 or 10 times. With steel core strings, which are often used with students, like helicore, for example, those strings manage to become stable within 5 or 10 minutes. One of the advantages of the steel core string, and we'll talk about those in another video. Now, there are a couple more things to consider. Make sure that the string is in the groove, and especially on the bridge, because if you tune up a string and you're not in the groove, you could create a new groove. It won't necessarily damage the bridge in a way that would affect the sound, but you don't want to create a fifth groove in the bridge unless you have to. Now, as far as the tension, we talked about the tension. This length on this side of the bridge is looser or more flexible than this side. Of course, it's very tight on this side. And one of the things that happens to a string as you're tuning it up is it compounds in tension on this side of the bridge. And so typically when I put on a brand new string, I only do this once, but just to equalize the tension appropriately, I will lift the string off the bridge, maybe 1 millimeter higher than the bridge, and just sort of let it sit there for a couple of seconds as the tension equalizes. I'll demonstrate. So I just put some fingers here, and I'm just going to pinch the string. I'm not pushing down very hard. In fact, you can use the chin rest if you're worried about it. The chin rest and the fingerboard. And I just raise that string, just barely, move it around for a couple seconds. And one of the things that will do, it will allow the string to last longer, and the winding won't start separating as quickly or as soon. Now we're ready to play. And we're ready to practice. I hope that you'll subscribe to Mystery Sonata channel, and I'll be talking about carbon fiber bows and wood bows and different types of rosin, for example, and how the weather or the humidity in the place where you live is a factor in choosing your rosin. I'll be talking about string brands and many other topics. Have a great day. Thank you.